Hello, Todd Nash, President of the Oregon Cattlemen Association, here giving you an update this Friday. So a few things happening since we talked last. Wolves, the ODFW came out with their wolf report, and this is a minimum count. 175 wolves is what they counted. That's up 2 wolves from last year, and they will be having a meeting today and giving out that report to the ODFW Commission. We still see a real challenge in being able to count wolves on the west side of the state, and that population not growing as fast as it probably really is. That heavy timber, we know they're going to have a hard time counting over there. And so anyway, that report is out. If you want to look that up, it's online. Water. So water, we've from legislators, I should say, and the governor's office, we've been asked to try to come up with some solutions for short-term, long-term. If this drought persists, there's a concern for all of us water users, and we have competing interests with fisheries and municipalities and ag use, and so how to maneuver through this, and so there was a water committee meeting yesterday. Sarah Liliafelt led that meeting and does a wonderful job for us. We had input from a few people from around the state, but if you have further input, please feel free to write the office and let them know what you're up against. And when these committee meetings come available, please jump in. We need to know what your issues are. Rivers. So the Rivers Democracy Act, it's due for possibly a markup the 1st of May, first week in May. And it was pretty interesting. I went to Skamania Lodge. It's right across from Cascade Locks here this last week. And there was a American Forestry Resource Council meeting there. It got brought up with our regional forester, Glenn Casamassa from Region 6. He really has never been engaged with that. He's never seen a map indicating the areas that are going to be included, and it's startling how behind the scenes this has been, the impacts that it could have, and we continue to play defense and offense on this particular issue, and we certainly don't want to see it go forward in any form. This is a terrible way to do policy. We've asked to see maps of the area. We've asked to see what the criteria was for nominating a river or stream, and we've asked for who actually nominated these stretches, and we've been forwarded every effort on that. And this is a bad way to do policy and try to ram it through legislatively. Put nearly 3 million acres into a category of what would be wild and scenic rivers, and it would diminish what is the original Wild and Scenic River Act of 1969. Rain. We did get a little rain across Oregon, and if you didn't in your neighborhood, I'm sorry, but it looked like it was fairly widespread, and it was good to see. It's coming at a time where we're really starting to grow a little bit of grass. We're still frosty in a lot of higher elevation Oregon, but it is a welcome sight to see a little moisture there. Brazilian beef, been something that's been in the news, and I just wanted to bring that up. Beyond the dangers that come with bringing beef in from areas that could be tainted with something that could compromise American cattle or American beef, Um, I just want to pose the question: when's the last time you went to a store or restaurant and it said "Product of Brazil" on there? We just never see it. Truth in labeling is something that we still hold near and dear in Oregon Cattlemen's, and we would like to see truth in labeling and no indication whatsoever that that's a product of the U.S. People see a USDA inspection label on there, and there's an automatic assumption that that is a product of the U.S. and we still need to address that, still need to work on it. The Cattle Transparency Act, I want to give a little bit of historical basis on that. So that's been getting a lot of news lately, and that is going to get worked up next week. It's going to have some congressional hearings, both in the Senate and in the House, and look forward to hearing that conversation there. Within Oregon, going back 2 years now, we've supported this concept, and we supported it originally at a level of some trade that would be 30% negotiated trade with a 14-day delivery. And then that bill has changed over time, and frankly, it's watered down quite a little bit now. There's no minimum. It's just kind of holding the ground that we have right now, so that we're not completely vertically integrated like the chicken and pork industry are, and we can be independent ranchers, and we're not all under contract, anyway, and then it can be built out from there. It's NCBA. We voted on this at NCBA. They do not support this bill, and that went down, I think, a 41 to 147 vote in Houston this last year. That type of concept, and so it isn't widely supported, but there are a lot of independents that are really supportive of this. We feel like it could possibly save the industry the way it is right now. A lot of sale yards and support. And if you have some consternation on this, if you have some ideas, or you don't support, you do support, we want to hear from you. There is a committee meeting that's going to come up on Monday at 6:30 in the morning. Those meetings are open to all membership, and we really encourage you to participate and be involved there. We're meat processing. So those grants are being looked at right now. As some of you know from previous conversations and following legislative work, ODA and through the legislative short session last year, there was a $10 million ask, and it was actually funded at $2 million for grants for facilities to have build outs, and we supported that at the $10 million level. But what actually took place now, and I talked to Lauren Henderson from ODA, he said that there were 15 very viable candidates that applied. There were over 30 candidates that put in for it, and way short of the amount of money that could be spent here. So I think it's a really positive thing to have more processors here in Oregon, and a state inspection program, USDA or custom cut. I think going forward, that's going to be the way that we support those grants, so that we have more build out here. It's exciting to see these guys ramping up and wanting to get bigger and support our industry. The last thing I'm going to touch on is the Forest Service meeting I was at again, and it wasn't Forest Service, but we did talk to Forest Service there. The cut around Region 6, their target is down considerably for the next several years. And this is quite a diversion from where they were not too long ago. And with the fires raging the way they are, and it's really concerning. That understory also provides us grass on those allotments, and we need to be more aggressive about getting in there, getting product out. And no different than meat processing plants, those mills, those loggers, they need to have a steady stream of supply. And going back to when we saw spotted owl, first reaction was we thought that timber prices would go up because there was such a reduction. But what we saw was timber communities go out of business. The raw product never did go up, and we're seeing the same thing in the cattle industry. We can see this cattle supply or cattle inventory reduce, and as long as the infrastructure keeps producing at the same level, we'll never see our cattle worth anymore. And so we need to have all of those things in play. We need to have the inventory, we need to have the processing, and the other thing that came up there was vacant grazing allotments. In California, Region 5, half of their grazing allotments are vacant right now. We have a large portion. We have a large bunch in Region 6. Here in Oregon, we have quite a few vacant allotments, and within my own county, we have quite a few, and we continue to press on that. We think that we're part of that solution for fire mitigation, whether it be targeted grazing or just grazing in general. So with that, Robin, that's all I have for the week. I hope the rain continues to come, and as you guys get ready to turn out, if you haven't turned out already, enjoy that. It should be the best time of year.